This is my Lomo MCA. This is also my Lomo MCA, and Lomo says it's improved. Let's see how true that is. So I do want to preface this video by saying a few things. First off, I have been pretty vocal about liking this camera. I still like this camera. It is my everyday carry camera ever since it came out. Put 30 rolls or so through it. I'm still happy with it. So if you're here just to shit on Lomography in the comments because you hate them for some reason or you think this camera should not exist, please don't. I don't really have the emotional capacity to deal with the negative comments. I can't really help you. So that's the first thing. And the second is, if you are about to jump down into the comments and just rant about how the Pentax 1.7 should have been a bigger deal, then I agree. Like, I don't really remember the initial reviews as being that negative about it. I think a lot of people shied away from it because it was half frame. Personally, I don't like half frame either, mostly because I would never finish a roll. And also, like, the zone focusing, saw people being dissatisfied with that. So it wasn't really what people wanted in that moment, but everyone that I know that owns one loves it. And I personally find it attractive. I find it interesting. I actually had the opportunity to talk with TKO, the lead force behind that project. And it was really, really good conversation. It was a really nice guy. And I wish it would have succeeded more than it did. They seem to be doing a little bit better with the marketing lately. I've seen a lot of people seemingly getting it recently for the second time. So I think they might have been doing a little more outreach towards influencers again. And the tone seems to be pretty positive about it. So I do like seeing that, and I hope it continues, and I hope they do something else with the film project. The film project is something that I really, really loved seeing from such a major manufacturer, and I would love to see more of that. And I absolutely agree with you that it was a nice camera and it should have succeeded. So I am fully in agreement with that. So that's the two things. Let's jump into the meat. And I will be putting chapter marks, I hope. If I forgot, please point it out to me and I will add them. So you can jump to the issue that interests you the most. Yeah, let's get into it. So the main issues that I've seen pointed out with the Lomo-Matic MCA are, first off, the finder. Really badly calibrated, led to a lot of photos having like additional space in the bottom, and I could definitely tell that the frame lines in mine weren't centered. I didn't really think about that much, but once I noticed it was off, I would just use the entire finder to frame, and it was usually fine. So for me, it didn't really bother me well, but it's a huge QC issue that should have never existed in the first place. So I agree that that is not a good thing to have on a brand new camera. So all of these are. Second, flare. So the lens performance was actually the thing that bothered me much more than the other two main issues. And if you had the sun even remotely close to your frame, you would get a big blob of white on your image, basically. It was a really subpar flare management performance, which is common with vintage lenses. So it did kind of have character to it. But yeah, that was an issue that did bother me, and that did make me lose a few shots that I would have liked to have kept because the sun was in the shot. And I've actually been using my MCA with a hood because of that. This is a generic hood for, I believe, the Rolei 35 originally. It's a 30.5 millimeter threaded hood, just a generic thing, but it works. That I have left on there pretty much constantly. It doesn't add that much more to the profile. Yeah, and it works pretty well. So that's the second issue. The third one, and this is the most widely reported, I think, is the frame spacing. And this has been an issue. It leads to overlap in a lot of cases, which did not bother me as much as it has other people, because it's usually very minor. So you have a millimeter at most overlap. It's usually in the range that a normal film lab, cheaper film lab, I guess, would crop anyways. And in 99% of the frames, I didn't feel that it destroyed anything. I could just crop it away and didn't really delete anything that I desperately wanted to have in the shot. And that plus tilt, the basic construction of the MCA with just having one sprocket wheel advancing the film leads to, or at least I assume that's what leads to it, the frames actually being tilted on the film strip. They are within the intended film area, so they're not overlapping with the sprocket holes or anything, but they're tilted on the film. It is constant, so it's very easy to correct. You just set the tilt when you're editing or cropping the photos, and just sync it across all of them, and they'll all be straight. So it's not a huge issue, but it's there. It looks weird. If you want to scan with the sprocket holes on there, then it's going to be a bigger issue. So that's definitely something that is worth being aware of, and that has not been resolved. I'll just spoil that because the basic construction is still the same. So there is no second sprocket wheel on the newer batch. Let's rewind a little bit. How this came to be that I have a second one is actually I was at CP Plus, a big photography and imaging trade show here in Japan, which is held in February every year. And I talked to the general manager of the Asia division of Lomography, and asked him about like all the issues that have been pointed out with the MCA, and if they have addressed that. And he said, yes, of course, and like, we'll get you a new one. I'm like, that's not what I meant to say. Like, I'm not trying to get mine exchanged. I'm happy with it. It's fine. But he insisted on getting me a new one, so I got a new one. And this one, obviously, I got for free, and they didn't ask for me to send the other one back. They just said, yep, keep it, do whatever with it, which is fun, because now I have both colorways. They didn't include any of the accessories or even the battery, so now I'm using this with the standard CR2 batteries. And I have found an interesting thing, which is it is slightly slower, but at the same time, because it's not cranking the motor as much, it's also a little quieter. It's just a tiny bit, but it does sound a little less shrill when you use it for focusing or turn it on and the lens moves out. Yeah, I think that's all for the story. And then we have a few other things that people have pointed out that I will put there with an asterisk, because battery life, I have not had an issue with it. I have shot 10 to, I think my longest was 12 on the rechargeable battery before I had to recharge it, which is perfectly fine in my eyes. But with the caveat, I don't really use the flash much. So that complaint was probably from people that use the flash almost always and just run the battery down really quickly with that. I did personally not have any issues at all. The second one, the winding mechanism breaking, There was one person that complained about that online and was saying basically this is a fatal flaw and everyone will break in a short period of time. I did ask the manager about this issue too, and he said that that particular camera was misassembled. So that's what I was told. I personally don't have not encountered any issues with it, but that has happened, so be aware of it. If it scares you, then might not be the camera for you. And what I said in my initial review, and what I still believe, is that the stance that Lomography has and will demonstrate concerning after service and replacing defective units is more important to me than these issues that have personally not bothered me that much. So as far as I can tell, they've been fairly good about it. So I've seen a lot of reports or personal comments from people that have had theirs exchanged because of an issue. And I've also had people tell me that they had it exchanged and then the exchange unit had the same issues and then they returned it and got a refund. So both of those things being possible and Lomography taking care of that are very good to hear. So that's definitely something that Lomography should and needs to be doing. And so far it seems like they are. So that's good to hear. Now, I do want to point out just 1 second what I do like and why I think this is a good purchase, for me personally at least, is that the feature set is something that you will not find in any point and shoot camera that is available on the market now, and even vintage ones. It's a very rare feature set. There are, of course, vintage cameras that have manual shutter speed, manual aperture priority mode, and a full manual mode, not fully manual focusing, but zone focusing. And I personally also appreciate that the winder isn't a motor, which I don't like motor sounds in any way. So this is motor enough for me. So I'm very glad that the winding mechanism isn't motorized. Your mileage may vary on that. But yeah, that's a feature set that does exist with stuff like the Contax T series of cameras. And I'm sure there's others. Actually, let's just ask Google what it says about that. I meant to do this, I forgot. Film compact cameras with manual aperture and shutter speed with autofocus. Combining autofocus with full manual exposure controls, meaning independent selection of both aperture and shutter speed in a traditional compact film camera, is exceptionally rare. Vintage point and shoots nearly always paired autofocus with automated electronic program or aperture priority modes. Aperture priority is already great, but yeah. If you look at vintage luxury compacts like the Contax TVS, they feature autofocus and a manual aperture ring, but they operate on aperture priority automation rather than letting you manually set the shutter speed. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought the Contax T series had manual shutter speed as well. I'll have to look it up. If it does, I'll put it on the screen. But the thing that I wanted to say is that it's very rare, and even in vintage ones that do have it, the Contax T series probably has a lot better lens than this too. Is a highly sought after premium camera that costs many times as much as this one. So having a new one with the opportunity of warranty service and those features is, I think, very, very worthwhile. The price, while it is not super cheap, is much cheaper than a Contax T2. or even T3, and those don't have any warranty attached to it or any opportunity of getting any issues fixed or exchanged. So that is what motivates me to say it's a good purchase. It's a good pricing too. I do not feel it's overpriced, but I know that some people do. And that's why I do like it and I do recommend it to people. But I do also understand that it's not going to be the same for everyone. Okay, let's move on. So what has been improved? Let's go back to my list. First off, Finder. The Finder in the original one was kind of shifted towards the bottom quite a bit on mine. And I think as a result of that, I got a lot of those shots that had, as Jason of Grainy Days so eloquently put it, at the bottom there. And yeah, I had that. I do usually not frame that precisely. So once I started using the entire viewfinder to frame up, it was all right. But the frame lines didn't really serve the purpose they were supposed to serve. So I am glad to say this has definitely been improved on the newer batch. I don't know when they made that improvement, but I have been told that it was a matter of, again, assembly. So once they started scaling up the production from the initial prototypes, they ran into issues of variants where people hadn't assembled it correctly, which they should have caught, but okay. So that's been solved for me. Personally, my later batch one doesn't have the issue. The second thing is flare. And interestingly, when I published my original review, I got some comments, or at least one comment I remember, that the newer batch had an additional plastic mask installed inside the film chamber behind the lens, which prevented or at least lingered that. So that seems to be addressed rather quickly, and it definitely does help. It does make the lens lose a little bit of that vintagey feel. So it does have a little more digital looking flares now. So you actually get blue flares because of the coating. So I've actually gotten a comment from a friend of mine saying he preferred the look of the older one. And that's going to be a hugely personal thing. But I do appreciate that it doesn't cover a third of the frame with a huge white blob anymore when you have direct light in the frame. So yeah, that has been addressed with a little asterisk. And then the big elephant in the room, spacing plus tilt. No, sorry, that has not been fixed. They might have addressed it, but it hasn't gone away. So I actually made a handy spreadsheet here of apparently the 29 rolls that I have shot. And you can see the MCA 2 line, this bold line, is when I got the second one and where I started shooting with the second one. And every roll after that has been with the second one. So I have 18 rolls on the old one and then 11 on the new one. And it feels low, like I feel like I shot more, but anyway. Initially, my first 2 rolls with the updated MCA were clean, so I didn't have any overlap or spacing issues on those first 2. But then the third one had 2, the next one had 1, and then the next one after that had 4, which has only happened 3 times that I've gotten more than 3 on the same roll. And on the new one, I have 4 rolls with 1 overlap. I have 1 with 4, and then I have 1 with 2, which gives us an average of 0.91. And on my old one, I had, out of 18, I had 7 clean ones and 11 rolls with overlaps, which gives us an average of 1.4 overlaps, and I bought it very early, so I likely had all of the issues that the earliest batches had. The average right now and the number of clean rolls, like, it is better, but you can't really say it's resolved. It might have been addressed, it might have been less, possibly. It's a little early to tell about that, but it has definitely not been resolved. I put all of my film through Veloy EZ120 and EZ35 scans, and I have to crop it afterwards anyways. Oh, and also this spacing issue, the tilt issue kind of is, but the spacing issue is certainly not exclusive to the Lomo MCA. I have it on multiple of my old cameras too, but I do understand why it bothers people. That is the story of my two MCAs. There are some improvements on the new one. Unfortunately, it does have that quote still. But there are a few functional improvements on it, especially with the flare, which actually was the issue that bothered me personally the most, so I'm glad to see that addressed. But some of the others remained, and we're probably going to have to wait for the successor model, if there is one, of this camera, for that to be fully resolved. And hopefully it will. Can't guarantee it. Would be nice. Anyway, how's your experience been with the MCA? And also, if you have a different camera that you enjoy, if you are really into the Pentax 1.7 or into the Rolei 35, which came out a little before this at a similar market segment, a little more expensive, but very similar kind of concept, or any other cameras that you really like for this general purpose, let me know in the comments. I am definitely talking into the void right now, but I know there are some people watching, and I really would like to interact with you. So leave a comment or message me, DM me on Instagram or whatever if you don't want it out in the open. I'm always open and happy to talk. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again.